Would you lie under oath to save your mother? The judge said, "You will answer the question." I looked at my mom, her eyes begged me to lie. Then at my dad, pure heartbreak. At 17, I was their weapon in a family war. The truth would destroy everything. On the outside, we looked like a postcard. We had the big house on a tree-lined street where neighbors still waved as you drove by. My dad, Mark, was my rock, a quiet, steady man who believed that hard work and honesty were the only codes to live by. My mom, Eleanor, was the sun. She was brilliant, charming, and the most fiercely loving mother a daughter could ever want. Our bond felt unbreakable. She wasn't just my mom, she was my best friend, the keeper of all my secrets. She taught me how to bake, how to stand up for myself, and how to put on a brave face, even when I felt something was deeply wrong. And there were cracks in our perfect family portrait, tiny fractures I chose to ignore for years. A conversation that would die the second I walked into a room. The permanent tension in my dad's shoulders, even when he was smiling. Sometimes, I'd see a flicker of something sharp and calculating in my mom's eyes, a look that would vanish as quickly as it came, replaced by a smile so bright it was clearly hiding something. I saw it all, but I told myself the story I needed to hear. Every family has problems, right? They loved each other, and they loved me. That's all that mattered. My mom was an expert at making me feel like the center of her world. We had our inside jokes, our special rituals. "It's us against the world, sweetie," she'd always whisper, pulling me into a hug. And I believed her. I felt so safe inside the bubble of her love, never once imagining she'd be the one to burst it. The day the bubble burst started like any other Tuesday. I came home from school to find my dad at the dining room table, surrounded by a tsunami of paperwork. He looked like he'd aged a decade, the lines around his eyes etched with a sadness so deep it felt ancient. My mom wasn't there. "Dad? What is all this?" I asked, letting my backpack slide to the floor. He looked up, and his attempt at a smile was painful to see. "Sit down, Chloe," he said, his voice thick with dread. He told me they were getting a divorce. The word was a physical blow. But his next words shattered my entire reality. He was suing her. Not for custody, not for the house. For fraud. He explained it in simple, brutal detail. For years, Mom had managed their finances, including the small business they'd built from nothing. Dad trusted her completely, so he never questioned it. But he'd just discovered she'd been systematically bleeding their accounts dry. She had opened secret bank accounts, forged his signature on loan documents, and woven an intricate web of lies to hide hundreds of thousands of dollars. She wasn't just leaving him, she was planning to leave him financially ruined, buried in debt she created while she built herself a secret fortune. I couldn't process it. "No," I said, shaking my head. "Mom wouldn't do that. There has to be a mistake." "I wish there were, Chloe," he said, his voice finally cracking. "You have no idea how much I wish there were." When my mom came home, I confronted her, my heart hammering against my ribs, praying she would laugh it off as some crazy misunderstanding. She didn't. She did something much worse. She collapsed into gut-wrenching sobs, pulling me into a hug and whispering that my father was a bitter, cruel man, that he was making it all up to poison me against her. She painted herself as the victim, him as the monster. "It's us against the world," she cried. "Remember?" For weeks, I lived in a fog, caught in a war between my dad's story and a lifetime of my mother's love. Who was I supposed to believe? I wanted to believe her. I needed to. Every time I looked at her, I saw the woman who kissed my scraped knees and chased away nightmares. That woman couldn't be a thief. The choice was ripped away from me on a rainy Saturday. Mom was out, and I was in the attic searching for old photo albums, desperate for proof of a time we were actually happy. In a dusty corner, I found a locked metal box I'd never seen before. A strange instinct, a gut feeling, told me I had to open it. I found the key in a box of her old things from college. My hands trembled as I turned the lock. The contents weren't love letters or photos. It was bank statements, financial ledgers, stacks of documents. All of it in my mother's elegant, familiar handwriting. It was all true, just as Dad had said. A secret account with a balance that made me physically ill. Meticulous notes detailing every single transfer. This wasn't a mistake. It was a cold, calculated, multi-year plan. The sickest discovery was a small notebook. Inside, she had practiced my dad's signature. Over and over and over again until it was a perfect, undetectable forgery. A wave of nausea crashed over me. The woman who did this was a stranger. This wasn't a desperate woman trying to escape. This was a predator. And the all-consuming love I had basked in my entire life suddenly felt like a performance, a tool she used to manipulate everyone around her, including me. I slammed the box shut, my heart feeling like a block of ice in my chest. A few days later, a courier delivered an envelope to our door. It was a subpoena. My father's lawyer was calling me to testify as a witness. When I told my mom that I knew that I'd found the box, her reaction was explosive. The Fragile Victim Act shattered instantly. The tears dried up, replaced by a terrifying, cold fury. She accused me of betraying her, of snooping, of being just as cruel and ungrateful as my father. "After everything I have done for you," she hissed, her voice low and venomous, "this is how you repay me? You will go into that courtroom and you will say you know nothing. Do you understand me? You will not destroy me." Her threat was crystal clear, my truth for her freedom. I was completely trapped. My dad, on one side, was asking me to do the unthinkable. My mom, the woman I had worshipped, had betrayed us both and was now demanding I lie for her. What would you do? Do you protect a parent even if it means lying under oath? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have a story that you need to get out there, subscribe for more. The courtroom was just as cold and intimidating as I'd imagined. It smelled like stale coffee and fear. My legs felt like they belonged to someone else as I walked to the witness stand. I couldn't look at my parents, so I focused on a crack in the dark wood in front of me. My dad's lawyer started with easy questions, my name, my age. Then, he guided me to that afternoon in the attic. "Chloe," he said, his voice gentle. "Can you please tell the court what you found in the attic?" Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my mother give a slight, sharp shake of her head. Her eyes were burning into me, a silent, desperate command. I could feel the weight of every bedtime story, every hug, every "I love you" pressing down on me, suffocating me. It would be so easy to lie. Just say I found nothing. I could save her. But then I saw my dad. I saw the quiet integrity in his exhausted posture, the years of trust he'd lost, and the pain he was trying so hard to hide for my sake. I thought of that notebook, of my dad's name, forged again and again by the woman he loved. The truth was a physical lump in my throat. The judge's voice broke the spell. "Miss Collins, you need to answer the question." I took a shaky breath. "I found a box," I whispered. "A locked, metal box." "And what was inside this box, Chloe?" the lawyer pressed. I finally looked directly at my mother. Her face was a storm of panic and fear. And then, as the words came out of my mouth, it morphed into pure rage. The love was gone. The woman I knew was gone. In her place was a cold, hard stranger. "Bank statements," I said, my voice growing stronger with every word. "Ledgers. And a notebook." What was in the notebook? This was the moment. The point of no return. "My dad's signature," I said, the words tasting like poison. She had been practicing his signature. Over and over. Someone in the gallery gasped. My mother flinched as if I'd physically struck her. She squeezed her eyes shut for a second, and when she opened them, they were completely empty. She had already left me. In that instant, I knew I had chosen the truth, and in doing so, I had lost my mother. The rest of the trial was a blur. My testimony was the final nail in her coffin. The verdict came quickly. My mom was found liable for fraud. The judge ordered her to repay every last cent, and my dad was awarded what little remained of their assets. Walking out of the courthouse felt unreal. Dad put a heavy arm around my shoulders, but I was too numb to feel it. Across the plaza, my mom stood with her lawyer. Her eyes met mine for a fraction of a second. There was no sadness in them. No regret. Just nothing. She turned her back on me and walked out of my life. The weeks that followed were suffocatingly quiet. Dad and I moved around our big, empty house like ghosts. He tried to thank me once or twice, but the words would never come out right. He knew the price of what he'd asked me to do. How do you thank your child for testifying against her own mother? And how do you forgive the father who made you do it? It's been 2 years now. I haven't spoken to my mother. I still send a text on her birthday and on Christmas. She never replies. My relationship with my dad is healing, slowly. We're building something new from the wreckage, something founded on a brutal truth instead of a beautiful lie. Testifying against my mom was the single hardest thing I have ever done. I lost a parent that day, or at least, the illusion of the parent I thought I had. Some days, the guilt is a physical weight that threatens to crush me. But I know I made the only choice I could live with. I chose the truth. It was ugly and it was cruel, but it was real. And I'm learning that living with a painful reality is infinitely better than hiding in a perfect lie. The scars are still there, and I think they always will be, but for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm finally standing on solid ground. What would you have done in my place, lie to protect your mom, or tell the truth and risk losing her forever? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story had you hooked, hit that like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping family secrets, DNA twists, and courtroom drama every day. You won't believe what's coming next. Which side are you on, truth or family? Type it below and let's see which wins.